Hey guys, how are you? So this week we are going to work on it's a sort of a drawing. I'm not even sure what you call it exactly, sort of like a contour drawing. I'm just gonna have to show you and explain it as we go along. It's really simple. I think you'll have fun. I'm gonna have you trace your hands and then you can put other shapes in it as well. I used hearts just because it's close to Valentine's Day. You can do that or not. You can put any shape in there that you want. But come with me, look at the instructions. And this video is a little shorter because it's really a simple assignment, but I just need to show you how to do it. And then I'm going to let you go on your own and do it, okay? So go get your pencil, Sharpie, and then any kind of media that you want to color it in with. So you can do marker, colored pencil, chalk pastel, watercolor, whatever you feel like playing with. And you might decide that after you're finished drawing it in. But at least for now, get your pencil and your Sharpie and we'll get started, okay? All right, thanks. Okay guys, so for today's lesson, we're gonna do a simple drawing. It's a very easy drawing, but it does take a little bit of time. Now my original one had hearts, and I think I am still going to put a couple of hearts on this version. But another thing that you can do, especially if you don't want to do hearts, because I understand if not everyone wants to do hearts, you can do just round balls, you know, just circles. Just think about shapes that you could do. So you could do a circle, you could do a triangle. Okay, so one thing that you can do is trace your hand. Now, I'm just doing this all with pencil right now. Okay, guys, so after I have all my objects on the page, I'm going to make some straight lines. Now, I actually prefer to turn my paper sideways. They're going to be horizontal lines, but for me personally, it's easier to draw them up and down instead of left to right. You can do this whatever way works for you, but we're literally just going to go down the page and make these straight lines. Okay, now I'm going to show this all out to you later, but you're just going to keep doing straight lines until you get to where our objects come in. And then you're going to do a straight line until you hit the object, and then you're going to put a little bump in it. And then continue straight across, put a bump, and finish your line straight across the page. Okay, if that's a little tricky for you, you could use a ruler so that you don't have to worry about making sure that the line is in the same place, you know, after you do your little bumps. But we're just gonna go like this. You know, it doesn't have to be perfect at all. But what this does is it makes it so that the background has the straight lines and our objects have the curved lines. So it gives them a three-dimensionality and gives them a bit of shape so that it looks like they're popping off the page a little bit. It doesn't really matter how wide the spaces are between your lines. I would say right now, I don't know, it's not quite 1/4 of an inch between them, but a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch maybe. You know, and then when you finish this all out, maybe you want to go back in and make your lines a little closer. Put, you know, lines in between these if you want to fill it in a little bit more. Also, like on this object right here on my heart, I had these two little bumps. Now we're kind of going into one because that seam is done. So I'm just going to come up like that. And it's okay if it touches the line above. I'm not sure if it's really supposed to or not, but it's not the end of the world. It's completely okay if that happens. And then we'll continue like that. Okay, I'm just going to give you one more sample down here by the fingers, and then I'm going to do this, like fast forward this so that you guys can just kind of get the idea, and then you can work independently on your image. Okay, so that kind of gives you an idea of what happens when we get down here by the hand. Okay, so that's what I've got right now. And I'm going to fast forward through this and show you real quick me doing the whole thing. And you guys can, you know, just pause that or watch through it, whatever you want. And then we'll come back together to do our coloring, okay? Okay guys, so I have finished drawing in the lines on my image. I've got my heart and my fingers. The fingers and the wrist can get a little tricky. Just keep pushing through, okay? Go straight on the back part and then do your little bump. And if it's not perfectly straight, it's fine. And it should look somewhat like that when you're done. Okay, now my first sample that I did, I chose to do a blue and purple and a little bit of teal background. And then I used a complementary color, which would be kind of a orangey yellow type of a color for the elements that I drew. You could choose to do that as well. I did this with watercolor. I'm going to do another sample now. It's a little bit more Valentine's Day-y, you know, a little bit more reds and pinks. You can make up whatever color scheme you want. Try to make it complementary. And, you know what, you could use markers if you want. You can use watercolor. You might even be able to use very light chalk pastel and then like rub it into the paper so that it's not too dusty. You could use colored pencils if you wanted to. So I'm going to give you guys some freedom to do whatever you want on this. But I am going to go ahead and I'm just going to do a real quick watercolor rundown just to show you what I did here. Okay, so for our watercolor, if you choose to do watercolor, I actually have some tape this week. So I was able to tape down the edges of my image. If you guys have like masking tape or blue painter's tape, that's really ideal. Something that isn't too sticky, that'll come off easily. Anyway, if you have any kind of low tack tape, do tape around your edges. And if you don't worry about it. Just when your image gets mostly dry, you know, put it under a heavy book or something, okay? Now, the first thing that I'm going to do on my watercolor is wet the background. Okay, I'm going to try really hard not to get my objects themselves wet because I don't want the paint to bleed into that section. If it does, it's not the end of the world. But I want to try to just do the background. So I'm just putting regular water on right now. And I'm going around my objects. I'm going between my fingers up here. And the paper is going to soak up a lot of this water. That's okay. Okay, there we go. Let's see. What do I want to do here? I think I'm going to go with just dark purple. Some dark purples and some dark blues. And I'm really just going to put them down in blotches. And really just let the water move the paint around. Now, if it seems like there's not enough water in certain spots, then just go over it with some water from your jar. See, I just went over my finger a little bit there. It's okay if it goes over a little bit. If you have different shades of purple or, you know, different shades of whatever color you're using, that's always kind of fun to just mix it up a little bit. Okay, so that's basically it for now. I can add more colors if I want to, but I mean, this could be done right here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it dry. It doesn't have to be 100% dry, but it definitely shouldn't be shiny at the very least. And then I'm going to go back in and paint over the white areas. You know, or if you wanted to, you could just leave the white areas white. You know, I think that's fine as well. I'm just kind of showing you some different ideas of things that you can do, okay? Okay, guys, I'm going to break my own rule a little bit here. So, as you can see, it's still wet. It's still shiny. And I would advise you guys to leave yours alone. In fact, this might even be a good place to stop because I think it looks really pretty. I actually kind of like the contrast of the white. But I'm not going to leave it that way, even though maybe I should. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my pinkest purple that I used already in my background, and I'm going to fill it up with water. And then I'm going to take just the tiniest little bit, and I'm using a smaller brush now too. So I'm going to take the tiniest little bit and I'm going to use it over here first. Just on the inside, and I'm going to try not to touch the edge that it shares with the other paint. So just like a real pale kind of pinky tone. I had thought I wanted to go red on this one, but the color palette that I chose doesn't really go, I don't know. I thought that maybe the red would be too stark against this. Now, and this is a little dangerous because it's so close to the colors that we already have. So I want to be really careful not to use too much paint here. So I'm actually wiping some of that color off because I feel like it was just a tiny bit too dark. You know, and maybe you don't even have to shade the whole object. Maybe you just want to shade or, you know, color in like one side, maybe like a shadowy edge. And let the rest of it just sort of stay white or fade out. Like I said, I'm being real careful not to touch the edge where my other paint color is. Going right up to it, but I'm being really careful not to touch it because that would almost like give that other paint permission to come into this white space, and I just want to leave it that way. I don't want them to blend yet. I'm going to put a tiny bit down here, and then I think I'm going to be done with my hand. Maybe a tiny bit up here. Okay, I think I am just about done. Okay guys, well there we are. I hope you guys had fun with this. It's a project that I always thought was kind of neat. It's not difficult, but it's a little time consuming and it's just kind of fun. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I will see you guys next week. Take care. Bye.